I'm in the historic town of Pella, Iowa, a Dutch town.
It was good until they hit that bridge over there. It didn't fit. Okay, now we've had art and geography. Now we're going to have architecture, okay? Dutch architecture normally has a false facade above the highest story, okay? The reason for that is land is so expensive that they build very narrow houses. When you build a narrow house, you can't put in a big stairwell, so they kind of use a gentle ladder, and then they can't get the furniture upstairs. So the reason for the false facade is to be able to put a beam on it and a pulley and pull the furniture up and go through the window. And even if, when you see pictures of downtown Amsterdam with 4-story buildings, they still have that because that's how they get the furniture up in there. Now you have form and function coming into play. Once you had to have the beam up there, and then they start designing different styles of the facade. They have beautiful bell-shaped ones, they have straight ones, they have stair-step, and this one, or the one over there, is called the neck, because that's the head of the house. That's the neck, and this frill along the sides are the curls alongside the neck. And so that's Dutch architecture, okay? You've had that lesson. Now, every building in here is authentic. We don't build it unless we have a picture of it, okay? Doesn't mean this is a street like this, but every building is authentic. Here, just pass that along there. That's what you're going to see. Right there is what you see. See the cheese factory, the cheese mart? This is where the producers bring their cheese and sell it all over the world. The buyers from all over the world come buy their cheese. That's part of the agriculture products that are shipped out. So you see the two guys in black, they're negotiating the transaction. And it's interesting, if you go to a Dutch auction, you know, you've been to an auction, you start low and bid high. Not in the Netherlands, they start high and go low. So I went to the flower auction at Schiphol Airport at 6 o'clock in the morning. And you go there and they bring in a trolley of flowers, and there's a big clock. It'd be like at 10. And it's, okay, we're ready. It starts down to 9:75, 9:50. Somebody say, okay, I'll take it for that. Then they start over, because often there are more buyers. So you got, sometimes at the end they get more, you know. Now, why do they do it at 6 o'clock in the morning? Well, they're right by Schiphol Airport, and they buy the flowers, put them right on the airplanes to New York, and they're there by 6 o'clock because of the time difference. They ship it all over. See, that's part of the agriculture export, right? Okay, we have a glockenspiel in town. It's half a block down here. It performs on the odd hours. You'll miss it at 11, so you can get to that. Maybe it's still going, at tulip time we do half hours. I don't know if they've changed it or not. But when you see it, it looks just like this. And this is the Twin Towers at the little town of Snake. And there's the original picture. And we have, our artists just did a tremendous kind of translation, don't they? Beautiful. So that's the tower. We don't have real water. It's a gel that goes in under real high heat. In fact, we had to cover the sprinkler heads when we put it in. It doesn't leak. It doesn't evaporate, but it gets a skin on it, so please don't touch it. So now we're going to go down this side. You can go down both sides if you want. And we're going to see the seasons. So we start out with winter season and Sinterklaas riding his horse. Sinterklaas is Sinterklaas in Dutch. Beautiful winter scene. This is a neat one. This is one of the ways they learn to skate. The person in front and back know how, and the middle two hang on. And nobody told me about that. But later in the tour, you'll see a full-size sled like that. Okay? I'm not going to talk much about the burial thing, but because I've been in Netherlands, they'd show us those, and we'd say, how did it work? And they'd say, we don't know. They kind of don't know. They don't find bones, but somehow that was a burial site. Right. So we've had fall, now winter, now we come to fall, and it's harvest time. But this farmer has an interesting problem. He has land on both sides of the canal, and he doesn't have a bridge. So the way he gets across is to pole vault. See him pole vaulting across? And in the Netherlands, they show here, they have pole vaulting competition, not how high you can go, but how big a canal can you get over. No, the horizontal pole vaulting. And the picture here shows a guy doing it, and they say he can go 67 feet. But that would be impossible strength-wise, except they cheat. They have a ramp, and they come running down the ramp, and you can, the guy is catching it about halfway up. He catches it about halfway up, and then so he can have he'd have to have a 70-foot pole to go 67 feet. Well, I guess he wouldn't, would he? Could do that half of that. That's right, 35-foot pole. But he has to climb up as he goes. I don't know if you've ever tried pole vaulting.
I think I've seen it.
Yeah.
You've seen that done?
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard on your shoulders and arms. Now, I mentioned to you that every building is authentic, but not if doesn't mean the street is. But if you turn around, this is one village, and it's the village of Hindelopen. That's where the painting started. And we get a lot of Dutch visitors, and when they're standing here where we are, as soon as they see it, they recognize it. And I've been there. It is. It looks just like that. And it kind of shows the Netherlands. You know, so much of their land they made themselves out of the sea. Build the dikes, pump the water out, and then take the land. So they put houses close together. They have narrow streets. A lot of them will have sidewalks on both sides, but if two cars are on it, they'll drive on the sidewalk. They just utilize every inch of space they can. Okay? There's another way that windmills are used. You have a swampy area, you burrow it out like that, and the windmill then can pump the water out and drain the swamp. Okay? Now this was started in, Tulip Time started in 1935, and the shop teacher built this house to show a Dutch house. And then during the WPA days, people were paid to do some of them. And then over the years, it's all volunteers that just keep building onto it. So that's the original one. This is a gorgeous scene here. I wish it were a street, but it's it's just our own street. Isn't that a beautiful sight? And you notice the stork? That's very the Dutch like that. And I had never thought about it, but they have a metal pan under that, and it's nice and warm. That's why they use a chimney, obviously. Okay, come on around. This really gives you an idea of what it's like to live close to the dike. Always fearful of a leak. You know, they have dike patrol all the time in the Netherlands. And you know the story of the little boy with his finger in the dike? Mm-hmm. Interestingly, that's an American author and an American story, but you see Dutch caricatures all over the Netherlands with the little boy with his finger. It's really a neat story because the little boy dies doing it, and you know. Okay, a house barn. Very nice. They just recently added some things to it that I've been in Arizona all winter, my first day of touring, so I hadn't noticed that.
You want us to feel sorry for you?
You what?
Nothing.
Yeah, you feel sorry for me. Well, somebody has to go to Arizona to help their economy.
Do they still have the thatch roofs over in Netherlands?
Thatch roofs, a lot of them, yes.
A lot of them?
They'll last 60 or 70 years, you know, so, and they can repair them. Okay, this shows a picture, a well-known painting of Amsterdam Canal. And if you look closely at this, or you can see it pretty well here too. You can see we've got the first 5 are done here, and for us it's sentimental because the man who made the first 5 has passed away of cancer since then, and so they're a tribute to him. And it's not done yet; they're still working on it. But this lets me show you how we make all of these. We start out with plywood. We put plaster on it, whatever color you want. Then you paint it, like you can paint it red, and you take a sharp instrument and scratch it like that, and the white plaster shows through. And that's how you make it look like brick.
Bricks, yeah.
And that's done with everything here.
Okay.
That's a lot of scratches, isn't it?
A lot of fine work.
Isn't that neat? This one is we got a copper pot. It's there.
That's neat, yeah.
And they give the detail. You can take a pot. No, it's got to be a pot.
Didn't they used to use tool pots and tools for furnaces?
Oh, yes.
Centuries?
Yeah, people make fortunes and most
Yes,
fortunes.
that's right.
Now, the reason I think that this is so recognizable, there's a picture of it from the Netherlands. See this building? Yeah. You can't miss it, you know, so people who know the place do it. And I have fun with school kids. I say, have you ever gone uphill in a boat? And they'll think about that and say, there's no hills in the river. Well, I said, the boat is down here and the water there is higher. We've got to be able to get up there somehow. So then I can explain a lot to them.
That's gonna be.
And the church, some of the religions would have the men and women sitting separately so they wouldn't be distracted during service. So we showed them. And one day I came up and they had changed all the costumes.
Oh, really?
And I said, why did you change the costumes? And they said, well, we found out that in that village they didn't sit separately. I said, nobody would have known that. They said, we would have. That's why we have such excellent.
Are they Quakers or similar to
no.
Quaker Dutch?
Well, you know, every religion has its ultra-conservative side, and there were those, yeah. Until we built the windmill in 2002, this building wasn't here, and this was in a much smaller area. So everything here, except the church, is new since we moved over 17 years ago. Flower show. Oh, I'm out of brochures. I can't give you a brochure.
This is part of the tour at the Vermeer Windmill in Pella,
Well, this
Iowa.
day laborer's hut is interesting. You know, not all of the Netherlands look like this. The guy who works in the peat bog doesn't get paid very much, so he builds a house out of available materials. And so he's using bark as his shingle and kind of neat thing. But there's the picture they found in that museum. Okay, now we go up to the windmill.
Again, this is the Vermeer Windmill tour in Pella, Iowa.
I didn't oversell.